Hey traders, Jason here from Leavitt Brothers. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how well the S&P 500 tends to do as a function of what happens the first 5 days of the year. Okay, there's a lot of these quant studies that are done. Some of them are a little bit kind of out there, but there are a lot that really do help guide you through a year. If a certain sequence happens, something happens, and I can turn around and say, hey, when this has happened in the past 24 out of 25 years, the following happened, that's actually pretty high odds, or at least it helps guide you. If you like this kind of analysis, if you like looking at quant studies that help kind of form like a backdrop of what you're doing, what your bias is, you ought to check out my Masterclass, okay? Because in the class, I spend an entire chapter covering dozens and dozens of quant studies that play out during the year. How the market does the first 5 days of the year, how the market does in January, how the market does in January and February, how the market does in January, February, or March. If the market makes a new high at this point in time of the year, the odds of the market continuing up for the rest of the year are X. Okay, I covered dozens and dozens of quant studies in the class. So if you kind of like looking at these quant studies, you ought to consider checking out the class because they really do help form an accurate bias. And so instead of maybe being long because the charts tell you to be long, maybe you'll be long with a little bit bigger size because some quant studies tell you that the odds are really in your favor. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how the market does for the entire year as a function of the first 5 days of the year. Let's get to it. All right, so these are stats. This is just a simple table with some numbers. I'm going to talk you through it. These are stats complements of LPL research. Okay, and what we have here is we have the performance of the S&P 500 as a function of the first 5 days of the year from 1950 to 2019. All right, so what we have here is we have all years. Okay, and you can see in any given year, the odds that the market is up is 78.6%. That's how often the market is up. And the average median gain over the course of all these years was 12, 13, 14%. Okay, that's for all years. Now, now walking through the table, if the first 5 days of the year are negative, which is the next column here, the market was only up 60% of the time, okay? So quite a big drop off from the 78.6, and the average and median gain dropped to like 4 or 5%, okay? So pretty big drop off. If the first 5 days of the year were negative, the odds of the market posting a gain for the year go down a bunch, and the average gain goes down a bunch. But if the first 5 days of the year were positive, which is the next column here, you can see the odds, or I should say the prevalence of up years is 80%, and the average median gain is 13.6% in both cases. Okay, so first thing to note is that the difference between all years and getting the first 5 days of the year positive isn't that much difference. Like the odds are basically the same. The gain over here in all years is like 12, 13, 14%, and over here is like 13, mid 13%. So there is really, if the first 5 days of the year are positive, that doesn't really tell you anything. It just tells you that it's just going to be a normal, typical year. It's when the first 5 days of the year that are negative, which is this middle column that I'm highlighting, that suddenly the odds drop. Okay, this particular year, the first 5 days of the year were down 1.5%. So we're kind of in this category here. To further explain the table, just for the sake of completeness, this over here considers all gains for the first 5 days, no matter what the gain is. If the first 5 days of the year are up more than 0.65%, your odds going forward, your odds of having an up year are 88.6, and your gain during that time is 17, 18, 19, 20%. If the first 5 days of the year are up 2%, things get even better. Now we have like 94% of the time the market posts a gain for the year, and the gains are 21, 22%. Okay, so if the first 5 days are positive, you pretty much get like a normal year, which is this column. But if the first 5 days are up 0.65% or up 2%, the odds heavily get in your favor. Like that, most likely you're going to have an up year, and most likely you're going to have pretty big gain. It's when the market is negative during the first 5 days that the odds of success are much lower, and the potential and the gain, the average gain, is much lower too. Okay, and like I said, this year the market fell 1.5%, so we are in the negative category. It doesn't mean this can't be a good year. It just means instead of having a very normal year, which is this, we have a little bit of not a tailwind, but a headwind right in our face, that it's going to be harder for the market to do well this year. Okay. Again, we don't know what the path is going to be. The market could go up, it can go down. At the end of the year, it could be down a little bit or up a little bit, but within the year, there could have definitely been some really good tradable swings. So we don't know what the path is. We just know as of right now, in getting to be the mid-January, that it's going to be a little bit harder for the market to post a big gain this year per the historical stats. Okay, so again, if you like this kind of analysis, check out my masterclass. I cover dozens and dozens of these types of quant studies along with a lot of other stuff. Hope you got something out of this. I will see you next time.